Why I'm doing this week is called the Sanctuary. This is a simple, straightforward soft hackle pattern. It has a hare's ear body to it. As a matter of fact, this is kind of the soft hackle equivalent to the gold-ribbed hare's ear nymph. Simple brown hackle for the collar on this and the gold rib. Not much to it. I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into doing the Sanctuary, and I'll get started. I'm going to start the Sanctuary by placing my hook in the vise. This is a Mustad 3906 in a size 14. You could use a 3399 or even a 3906B if you want a little bit longer body, or if you want a little bit lighter wire hook. For thread on this, we're just using a Uni 8/0 in black. I'm going to attach my thread right behind the eye of the hook, and then just putting a little bit of a base layer down, run it down about a third of the way. And then I'm going to tie in the rib. The rib on this is just a Mylar Tinsel, a gold Mylar Tinsel. So I'm using a Danville's size 16 and 18, which is the smallest they make. It's a silver and gold Mylar Tinsel. Attach my tinsel to the hook shank with the silver side up. That way, when I go to apply it, it will flip over to the gold side. Touching turns, I'm going to advance my thread down the hook shank. I'm going to actually go pretty much right down to the end of the hook shank, which is right about the barb, where it starts to curve a little bit. We want a little bit longer body on this, especially with this nymph hook that's just a little bit shorter. I'm not going to apply the tag yet. I'm going to do the tag and the rib all at the same time. Next, I'm going to actually dub the body. The body is just using some hare's ear fur. It calls for a darker gray, and which can be kind of hard to find because if you look at the hare's mask, it's a lot of lighter browns and darker browns in here. But if you push some of the hair away and you get down into some of the underfur down in here, you'll actually see that there's some gray underfur down in there. So you're going to want to cut a chunk of that out and then strip away the guard hairs, and then you'll be left with a nice little clump of some dark gray underfur and a few guard hairs, but that's fine. The body on this is going to be a little bit thicker than what we did on the August brown. We want to actually have a little bit more of a pronounced body. As I mentioned, the Sanctuary is kind of the soft hackle version of the gold-ribbed hare's ear nymph. So you do want the body to have a little bit of bulk to it, not a whole lot, but this one we're going to start the body right at the end of the shank of the hook. We don't need to have any exposed thread wraps or anything. So I'll apply that. If I have to, I'll put a little bit more on. My personal preference is to actually not put enough on and have to put just a little bit more. Then that way I'm have a little bit more control over the taper and length of the body and how everything ends up. But that's just me. With my thread about a half an eye length behind the eye of the hook, I'll turn the hook over, and now I'll take that Mylar tinsel and it will flip to the gold side, and I will put in 4 wraps, working down just the bend of the hook a little bit. This is the tag that I'm putting in here. And then when I get that right back up to the body, I'll start to wrap in the rib. We want to try and put in 5 evenly spaced wraps of the rib on this. The 6th wrap should end up right on the side of the head space like that. And then we can trim away the excess. Cleaning that up just a little bit, I'll advance my thread back down to where I'm going to tie in the hackle. Now, if you have some guard hair sticking out on this, you can, trim some of those away if you got any that are real long. Remember that as you fish this fly, especially as you catch fish with it, these hairs are going to start poking out. It's going to look rougher and rougher. Sometimes that's what you want, but now for a hackle on this, it's just real simple. The Sanctuary uses just a brown hen hackle. So I've got just a basic brown hen hackle right here. I don't want to take the feathers that are down the middle of the back because they're a little more pointed. I want something off to the sides, which would generally be around just under the wings right here, because the tips of those have more of a rounded shape to them. As I'm removing some of these barbs to end up with the right length for my collar here, I want to have enough that I can get a couple wraps in and have as many as I can get in the length that I'm looking for. So feathers with a more rounded tip will provide that for you. I'm going to strip away the excess barbs that are too long that I don't need. As I am stripping those away, I will hold this up and take a look at it. That's about what I'm looking for, about a hook length long. And notice that I have plenty of barbs right in here on both sides that are about the right length, so it's going to give me just a little bit more even collar. Grab the tip of that feather with my hackle pliers. I'll stroke back the hackle fibers. And I will trim away the tip. So it leaves me just a nice little anchor that I can wrap in as I work my way towards the eye of the hook. With that secure, I'll grab the rest of that rachis with my hackle pliers and I'll start to palmer this in. Take your time with it. If you have any barbs that just aren't cooperating or whatever, just take your time. Get up to the eye of the hook, I'll secure the rest of that rachis in with a couple of wraps. Folding it backwards, I will now make the head of the fly. This does not have to be a pronounced head, and I don't want to wrap too far back and end up wedging those hackles down. I still want them to be able to stand out at more of a perpendicular angle. 3 or 4 turn whip finish. that's what your collar should look like. You don't necessarily want it sticking out forward, but you just want all that kind of being a little bit more of an abrupt angle to the hook shank as that floats through the water. And there is the sanctuary. Again, another straightforward soft hackle pattern. A lot of the soft hackles, that's the one nice thing, is the collars on them are pretty much all the same. There's just different tying materials, different feathers that you're using, but the procedure for putting those in and palmering them and everything is generally all the same. It's the bodies that are generally a little bit different. But this one was a straightforward pattern. I kind of like the tag on the back and the gold rib. Very straightforward. You could use even a lighter brown hackle if you want on that. Like I said, it's more of a soft hackle substitute for the gold-ribbed hare's ear nymph. And that is the sanctuary. Thanks for joining me at Devise today. I hope you learned at least a new pattern, if not a new technique, maybe a tip or trick here and there. If you have any questions about this fly or any of the techniques used in constructing this pattern, please leave them in the comments section down below. If you go to the trouble to ask a question, I'll go to the trouble to answer it. If you'd like to help dressed irons, please share this video with your friends and anybody you think that might enjoy this pattern. Until next time, remember, it's fly tying. If you're not having fun, then you're doing it wrong.